Hello everyone, it's me Uncle John. Today I am going to read S3 3077, The Parakeet Girl by Marilyn Sadler. The summary of the story is this. Emma tries several pets before she becomes best friends with a parakeet, Henry. But she finds that friendship threatened when her brother Bruce buys another parakeet. Emma Tuttle wanted a pet of her very own, more than anything else in the world. So on her 6th birthday, Emma's parents gave her a puppy. Emma loved her puppy. She gave him the best life a puppy could have. She fed him 3 times a day, no matter how funny his food smelled. She took him for walks, no matter how cold it was. She threw his ball for him, no matter how many times he brought it back. But it did not matter what Emma did. Her puppy liked her mother better. He is mom's dog, said her brother Bruce. So one day, Emma came home with the kitten. It was free. She told her mother. Emma loved her kitten, and her kitten loved her. He followed her everywhere. He rubbed up against her legs, even sat on her lap, and let her pet him. There was just one problem. He made her sneeze. Etch! So Emma bought a goldfish, but he was not the right pet either. He did not come when she called him. He did not like to be petted. And worst of all, he never seemed happy to see her. Emma took her goldfish back to the pet store. I guess there is no pet for me, she said sadly. Then, to Emma's surprise, a parakeet landed on top of her head. Pretty bird, said the parakeet. Emma liked the idea of a pet that could talk. She bought the parakeet and named him Henry. Pretty bird, Emma took Henry home. He can talk, she told her parents. Pretty bird, said Henry. He did not know how to say anything else that night. Emma decided to teach Henry every word in the dictionary. She read them all, from A to Z. Then she waited to hear what Henry could say. Henry opened his beak. Aardvark, he said. When Emma woke up the next morning, Henry was on her bedpost. She was just so happy to see him. He was just so happy to see her. Henry was the perfect pet. Soon Emma and Henry became best friends. They did everything together. Emma took Henry with her to her piano lessons. She took Henry with her to the dentist. She even took Henry with her when she had her picture taken. Emma just didn't look right anymore without Henry on top of her head. One morning, Emma decided to take Henry to school, but Emma's teacher was not happy to see him. You know the rules, said Mrs. Crump. No birds, bugs, frogs, or snakes. I'm sorry, said Emma. She had forgotten that Henry was a bird. Emma's class was learning all about Africa that day. Which animal lives in Africa and has a long snout? Asked Mrs. Crump. Aardvark, said Henry. After that, Henry could come to school whenever he wanted. Henry was a big help to Mrs. Crump. He collected homework. He picked up litter. He sharpened pencils. Mrs. Crump loved Henry. So did Emma's friends. Can he sit on my head today? It's my turn. No, it's my turn. Before long, Emma became known as the Parakeet Girl. Then one day, Bruce asked if he could take Henry to school with him. I'll bring him right home afterward, he said. But Emma didn't want to let Henry out of her sight. Sorry, said Emma. Emma and Henry were surprised when they got home from school. Bruce had bought his own parakeet. Her name is Kate, said Bruce. Pretty bird, said Henry. When Emma got ready for bed that night, Henry was not on her head. She searched everywhere for him. At last, she went into Bruce's room. There was Henry, sitting beside Kate's cage. Aardvark, said Henry. Aardvark, said Kate. Emma took Henry and put him in his cage. She was so upset she even put on his cover. Emma went to bed, but she could not sleep. Henry would not stop talking about Kate. Pretty bird, 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 pretty bird. He cried 452 times. The next day, Henry did not want to go to school. Emma tried to reason with him, but Henry would not listen. She had to take him to school in his cage. When they got to school, Emma set Henry free. He flew to the window. Pretty bird, he shouted. Henry refused to collect homework. He chewed the erasers off pencils. He even dive-bombed Mrs. Crumb. Mrs. Crumb had no choice but to send him home. That night, Emma was as sad as she could be. Henry likes Kate better than me, she cried. Then she looked into Henry's eyes. She saw the saddest face she had ever seen. It was even sadder than hers. So Emma did the only thing she could do. She set Henry free. He flew right to Kate. After that, Emma was not herself. One day, she even took Henry's empty cage to school. Emma's parents tried to make Emma happy. They offered to buy her another parakeet, but Emma was not interested. Then one morning, Emma thought she heard something unusual. It sounded like Henry, but it also sounded like Kate. Emma ran into Bruce's room. She couldn't believe her eyes. Henry and Kate had two babies. They were the prettiest parakeets Emma had ever seen. Pretty babies, whispered Emma. Emma took good care of the babies. She fed them, she cleaned their cage, she read them every word in the dictionary. The aardvark. Emma even took the parakeet babies to school. Mrs. Crump was glad to see them. Her pencils needed sharpening. From then on, Emma was as happy as could be. She had wanted a pet of her very own more than anything else in the world. Now she had two, Henry Jr. and Henrietta. The end.